networking part until everybody joins us and we can just start the meeting.
Okay, so let's start. So thank you for coming today. I know, like we said, that we are competing with the inauguration, but we are did not know that when we scheduled this. So thank you for coming though and taking your time. My name's Arati Ramappa. I am the co-chair of the Tech Councils along with Omer. I am an executive coach, but I have a corporate coaching company, but my background is in technology, is to be a programmer 20 years ago, and had a tech company for 10 years where I did tech consulting. So that's why I wanted to keep my tech background alive, and I became co-chair of the Tech Council. And our other co-chair is Omer, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet or see you. Some of you I do know already. So I am Omer Barsadeh. I am the founder and CEO of Vision Movies, which is a video production company that specializes in creating branding and marketing video, especially for small and medium-sized businesses. I've been working, our company has been working with the Chamber for a few years now. We're their official media partner. So we do a lot of projects with them. And in addition to that, myself, I teach business owners how to create, in that technology era, how to create videos by themselves and actually up their game. So I have a YouTube channel where I'm teaching and giving small tips on what technology tools to use in order to up the game. That's it. Thank you. Nice to see you all.
Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll just go over our mission statement really quick, and then we'll go into introductions, and then we will go into our presentation today. So our mission is to educate and promote the benefits of technology by keeping members informed of the latest technology developments impacting their businesses and the local community. We want to foster connections and communication within the tech ecosystem in Miami Beach and beyond. And we just want to let you know that today, we're having our event talking about how, using the power of technology in virtual events. But tomorrow there is a joint Technology Council and Law Council event at 12 p.m. that is going over how to use Microsoft Teams for law offices. So if you're interested in that, even though it's for law, it will be talking about Microsoft Teams in general and how to use it. So let's begin. And who wants to introduce themselves? We want to just go around and give a quick sentence, no more than 30 seconds, and give an introduction of who you are and what you do. Noreen, you want to start?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Noreen Timoney. I'm the principal of Timoney Impact Solutions. It's an organizational development consulting firm. All aspects of organizational development, whether it be strategic impact planning, operational goal setting, if you will, diversity, equity, inclusion, and team building, and some mentoring and coaching, if you will. So thank you. I'm excited to be here. I too was a programmer about 20 years ago, but unlike you, Agatha, I seem to have lost a lot of that, and I'm looking to get more involved with the technology aspect of business. Thank you.
Great. Maya, you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, Maya Media Villa, and I do business development at Viet Aventura. And I co-chair the Health and Wellness Council. And but I wanted to join today's meeting because during COVID, we've actually started working with our residents and upping their involvement with technology. So teaching them how to Zoom. We even have residents that are creating their own little YouTube shows. We have an in-house channel. So it's been fun for me helping them navigate, technology. So I thought I would come and see if I could learn something that would help them with their programs.
Okay, great. Keith?
Hi there, it's Keith Darby, Rise Realty. I'm a commercial real estate broker. I help companies strategize their facility plans in the office and industrial markets here in South Florida. Interested in the technology discussion today, to learn some tricks and tips on my own company and marketing and such, but also because I'm hoping a lot of tech companies are moving here, like Francis Suarez is promoting, and I'd love to learn if anybody knows about these companies coming from New York or California, and love to help them strategize their facility plans. Keith Darby, Rise Realty.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, that is a big thing that's happening, and we'll be having some discussions on that too. So thank you for coming. Alejandro? Alejandro? I don't think he's there. Okay, David, you want to go?
Not a problem. David Reese, LAN Infotech, community relations, and I'll let my boss speak about what we do.
Okay. And Glenn, you want to introduce yourself?
Ditto for David. We're both a community outreach responsible for that. Also a board member of Tech Lauderdale, and we're trying to help bring the tech ecosystem to South Florida. I see some closet techies here. Maybe we'll talk to them at another point. Thanks.
Yes. Okay, great. And I just want to say thank you to Leslie, who is our liaison with the Miami Beach Chamber, and she just helps us out so much. Thank you. Appreciate you. We have one more person coming in. We'll wait for a second so we can get them an introduction. Hi, Adrian.
Yes.
Hi. We were just about to start the presentation, but we just finished introductions. And since you came in, do you want to introduce yourself? Just give us a quick sentence or two. Hi.
Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Adrian Pardo, resident on Miami Beach. I'm a retired attorney at Greenberg Trarg, but I currently am involved in a nonprofit by the name of Yodea. So I'm very interested in hearing about technology and new platforms for when we put on presentations and things like that. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you. And before we start the presentation, Alejandro, is he back? Okay. Okay, we're in for a great presentation. I think that this is going to help all of us because no matter what type of business we have, we need to gather people, we need to do events virtually. And I'm really excited. I want to Michael Goldstein, I accidentally pressed mute. He has more than 30 years of experience in the information technology industry as a technology business analyst. Michael distills complicated IT issues into real life, relatable examples and solutions. His engaging delivery style makes him a regular speaker at the Association of Legal Broward Association, Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale, Greater Miami, Pompano, and Deerfield Beach Chambers of Commerce. He is the president and CEO of LAN Infotech, and LAN Infotech is a professional information technology consulting and cybersecurity firm. And today, even though they focus on cybersecurity, they focus on information technology consulting, and they are going to talk about he's going to talk about how to do a good virtual event. So with that, I would like to hand it over to you, Michael.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming out there. I guess I have to update that bio to say regular in Miami Beach Chamber also.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we are a pillar member, so I wanted to state that. So good afternoon, everybody. I figured this was a great topic to go out there. I'll put up, I'll just share my screen, and I have a bunch of it in slides, and then we'll go through and we'll definitely leave plenty of time for props and different things that are going out there. So, you know, I think that by now we're all, you know, zoomed out, and right now back here, I'm on actually multiple events that are going on. You know, this is a Teams event that's out there. You know, I got the inauguration on. I'm on another women's technology event over here. So again, you know, I wanted to show you that we're all going out there, and we have to really try to gauge and make these events more super engaging, because in reality, as we've all looked at, you know, you leave it running, you get the recording if it's a recorded event. So we'll go through some of those basics that are out there. just a couple of slides on LAN. 22 employees. We are based in Fort Lauderdale, but we've been servicing, the greater South Florida area for close to 25 years. I too started off as a programmer, so I'll say more than 30 years ago. I've kept a lot of that programming skill out there, and I still do a little coding that's there. All the employees are our employees, including my two older sons are in the company. We're definitely pretty engaged in the community. Really important to go out there and do events like this, not only do the events like this, but participate in events like this. I think it's important. So, most of the chambers that are out there, and then from our cyber perspective, we're a member of a group called InfraGard, which is Homeland Security, Secret Service, FBI. So keeps us up on both sides of things. But we are a full service IT firm. So we definitely do everything from, setting up the computers to, bringing in kind of cool technology like a folding laptop that's out there. This kind of cool technology that's in place. So we do it all, but we also go and give back to the community. We won a lot of cool awards over the years, and this was all just last year. But our biggest one was in the Daily Business Review Best of. In the 4 categories that we were nominated in, we took first place in all of them. So it's kind of cool for us. Last year, I was on the Power Leaders list. Again, trying to be more involved and making sure that people know what you're good at and you stay good at that. So right to our pieces that are here. Part of what we're seeing is people put together meetings and they just kind of do very impromptu meetings that are out there. So really, I think you have to look at trying to figure out what your goal is and what type of event. And, all the way down to how you portray yourself. Are you using 5 different platforms? Legal is one of our verticals besides not-for-profit. And, if we're working with a law firm or my counsel that I deal with, someone does a meeting on Zoom, someone does a meeting on WebEx, I think it's important to be consistent. And when you're even setting up these goals, these are just different types of meetings that you could look at. If it's a customer prospect meeting and you're going out there and you're doing a virtual meeting, you have to also make sure that the customer is comfortable. So if there's 6 of you on there and this customer or prospect doesn't want to be on camera for whatever reason, it's important to look at that. And I pick these categories because these are the type of meetings that we've had. We do a company meeting on Teams. We try to get everybody on there. Lately in our company meetings, some of our engineers now have kids. I have 2 grandchildren, so we kind of make it kind of friendly. I tell my kids to come on with their kids, again, making a company meeting a little easy. A company event, obviously different than a company meeting. We'll go through the different types of event. And then on the last 3, whether it's a corporate event, if you're a larger company that you're going out there and putting a corporate event, is it for your customers? Is it for prospects? Is it a one-to-many? Or is it interactive like we're trying to do here? And that's why I call a webinar one-to-many. And then are you trying to do a fundraiser? And in reality, out of all those meetings, I think the most important planning piece that has to go into is obviously in fundraisers. You're out there, you only have one opportunity if you're a not-for-profit, if you're something else that's out there trying to raise money, there's only one opportunity. And I think people have higher expectations when you're asking them to donate. So I just put these events and goals together. Now, these were some of the events that I was part of. Now, yes, you kind of look at top to bottom there. Magic Johnson, the Jonas Brothers, Justin Trudeau was on an education event. I got to chat with him. Mark McGrath. I had a Bobby Flay event, Elvis Costello, James Cameron, Eric Yoon, which was really kind of cool, the CEO of Zoom. I was on one of 200 people with Shaquille O'Neal. And Mr. Wonderful, Keith Urban. This was just a sampling of the ones that were out there. Now, yes, I'm in the IT industry, and there were some big names that put this stuff together, but it was pretty cool. I will tell you that in the upper right-hand corner, Mark McGrath was broadcasting from his Beverly Hills house. There were 750 people that came on. He was the closing act, and he couldn't get on Zoom. So it was kind of funny that his internet went down. So they started the event 45 minutes later. For the Jonas Brothers, it was a big Lenovo event. I was one of 500 people. They told everybody when they built up the hype of the event, that you had to do certain things during the day and be on at 7:30 p.m. And then I got a ticket to see the Jonas Brothers. I could tell you that my family was much more excited than me, but all my daughter-in-laws, my nieces, we streamed it, and we couldn't share the links. So again, fun type of events that were out there. And these were things in my industry. We'll talk about some realistic events. And some of these, were interesting. I did see all the Shark Tank guys over this year. The Shaq event, Shaq then was a DJ. He put on music for a half hour. And a lot of these events, I got the opportunity to involve my wife in, of things that maybe she wouldn't have traveled with me to. Now, when you start talking about some of the different event platforms, and at any point, we'll pop into the chat if you have any questions. Ex-New Yorker, so sometimes I talk a little fast. That's out there, but I wanted to cover a lot of things, and then I wanted to be able to open it up for questions. So I kind of broke the event platforms into kind of three pieces. And again, I didn't want to bombard you with 100 products that were out there. So when you're just doing a one-on-one or a small get-together, Teams is one of the big pieces that we see. And of course, the Kleenex of the industry is Zoom. And I think on those one-on-one or small groups, it works. But like at a chamber event like this, we had this conversation as we went on earlier. We all kind of missed the networking, the handshaking. I will tell you that personally, I have a 30-year-old who has a 6-month-old granddaughter. 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, they tested positive, including my granddaughter. So I will tell you that I haven't seen a customer or a prospect since the pandemic broke. I do go out, I go to things, but I try to limit what went how. So I'm not sure how many in-person events I might attend, only because I might lose my grandparenting duties. And I do have a new granddaughter on her way in March. So I think it's important that when I help plan events and we go out there, I want to see who's coming in, what you're going to do, and how we can make it more successful without having to have, a Jonas Brothers be the guest and pay a fortune to have people attend. Also, I will tell you that over the past 5 months, I probably never did as much Uber Eats or DoorDash that I ever did in my life, because many of our vendors go out there and entice people to come online just to go out there and get an Uber Eats card, get a DoorDash card. I think I got Domino's cards. Listen, it's hard to pay people to come in there, and then you don't necessarily know, if you're not interactive, was that worthwhile investment? So I think it's important to look at, how you're putting things together. So Teams by Microsoft and Zoom are good products to go out there and deal with your one-on-ones that are there. I'm on a Teams meeting right here, if you haven't used it or seen it. And of course, we're talking about the event tomorrow that's there, but this is an event with a few hundred people that are on there right now. People share screens, they go back and forth, we can control what, when, how. We all know the advantages of Zoom or the disadvantages of Zoom. Webinars, you have to think about that. Again, I think I talked about that, of a one-to-many. If you're not going to have any interaction, it doesn't pay to have it doesn't pay, in my opinion, to throw 100 people on regular Zoom and then have to worry that they're muting, they're not muting. Do I want to see their faces? Do I want to go out there and have to deal with the camera? Do I want to have to deal with the chat? If you're just doing a one-to-many presentation, you get the chance to present like I'm doing today, but no one else is on camera other than your speakers. And there's plenty of platforms to do that. And we did that in the beginning of the pandemic with the Bar Association. The Broward Bar Association, we did some work from home tips. We had 6 counties in the state. At the biggest point, we must have had 700 people on my second event sitting in my home office. So we didn't want to have to answer questions. And there's plenty of platforms for that. There is Zoom Webinar, there's GoToWebinar. And if you watch most of the news channels, whatever your favorite is, I'll just pick on CNN, they use Cisco WebEx all the time. Cisco WebEx is an expensive corporate platform, but it gives them a lot of control. And it's been around in the industry for a while. So sometimes you might wonder why you're on a news station and that's what they use, because it's a corporate standard, it's very secure, and it gives them a lot of control of the video feeds. So we don't endorse any of, yes, Zoom could work for this, Zoom Webinar, but I figured I'd put a few things in there. And then I look at, virtual conferencing. Virtual conferencing, again, it could be a one-to-many. I'm on an event right here. That's a of course, the screen goes out when I pull a piece out there, on a women's event that's here. This is a platform called On24. It's not real interactive. It's someone talking, and you could probably see what my screen looks like. There are some slides that are out there. There's an active chat. But one of the things that this On24 platform gives you the ability to do, and I'll have some screenshots, is have a virtual trade show. So if your goal is to have a trade show with vendors and booths and content, On24, Swapcard, there's a ton of platforms that are out there. And that's why I think it's really important to determine what your event is going to be. You know, am I bringing sponsors? What's their interaction on that? And we'll talk about an event that we're working on, and I'll tell you how we factor these things into it. And then I'll show you a pretty cool product that we call Remo. So anyone can go to remo.co, not com, co, and I'll talk about that platform. But you know what we've done and what gives us the basis to present like this is over the past 9 months, virtual fundraising, virtual event planning has become a very big piece for us because we're involved with tons and tons of manufacturers, vendors, clients, and we've been part of those. So some of the successful events that we've done is Broward Partnership for the Homeless. That was their annual fundraiser. We're about to go on our second event with Gilders Club. Gilders Club has a big event coming up in March where, you know, Glenn, who's on here, is the master event planner, but, you know, mixed content, video content, you know, a celebrity Jeopardy with John Lovitz. We're working with the Women's Fund Miami. We can go on, but we've done big, small, medium. We've done things for synagogues. I always bring a perfect example. If you're talking or you're a member of a church, synagogue, religious organization, you know, they're hungry. If you go on Facebook on Saturday or Sunday or Friday nights and just search, I know on Sunday, you know, every church is broadcasting. But, you know, how do they make money from that? And I use my own synagogue because in reality, you know, right before the pandemic, and it was way before, they started broadcasting some of their services. And they had a very, you know, big Zoom following. I will say that, you know, unfortunately, my father-in-law passed away on April 1st. And, you know, on April 2nd, we had a Zoom funeral. You know, we had to take elderly people. You know, my 87-year-old mother-in-law couldn't attend. We had to get her up on Zoom. We had to go out there. One of the Passover holidays, there were over 450 people in a virtual Seder. So, you know, you look at people that are successfully doing it, and I always point out at my synagogue up here as, you know, their dance card for virtual events is unbelievable. 2 Sundays ago on big playoff Sunday, they did, hey, sisterhood members for no charge come on, and in the morning they did an online making of knishes, and in the afternoon they had so many people on in the morning. In the afternoon they followed up with black and white cookies. So good fundraising opportunities and different things to go out there and do. So onto the kind of cool technology, and I'll digress into a couple things after. But I wanted to show you a snapshot of a pretty cool platform that we're using in the Fort Lauderdale Chamber and for other places. And the product is called Remo. Now, whether you call it Zoom, Teams, GoToMeeting, all those type of things, it's all the same. We connect, we're on there. If you're in Zoom and you have 50 people, you might run breakout rooms for networking, but you don't have your choice as to who you're talking to. So let's just pick the last big networking event that you went to. You register, you put your name badge on, you walk in 10 minutes late, and you're looking at that giant room. And you're determining, you know, who do I need to talk to? Who do I have to talk to? And who's going to take up most of my time? And you build your networking piece. I do it at every event. What Remo does is it gives you a virtual capability of coming into a room, and this is a snapshot of an event that I was part of. And what happens is each one of these rooms is a vendor's table. And when you come in, you're beamed in and you're at one of these tables. Now, each one of these blue chairs represents a table that you could sit at. You double click on the blue chair and you're then video conferencing or Zooming with people at these individual tables. So it gives you the ability to jump from table to table and say hello to only people at that table. So I'll use an example for the Fort Lauderdale Chamber. We're probably on our 10th event. Everybody goes out there and sets up their profile. They put a picture in place there. And now you have the opportunity to talk to the people that you want to talk to. And the event platform gives us the ability to have, in this case, it was 6s with vendors. We can set up tables for 2. We have multiple floors. The event can cover up to 800 people. And what's interesting about this is that you then could hop from table to table and talk to people virtually, just like you did. The profiles that people get to set up include picture, basic information, LinkedIn, Facebook, and also if you're using an appointment scheduling software, Calendly, all those type of things, you include that so that when 2 people or 4 people meet and say, hey, love to set up an appointment with you, right then and there, you can click on it. And each one of these floor plans can be set up differently. We have developers that put together floor plans that Glenn and I looked at one last week that actually looked like a wedding chapel. We saw one that looked like a reception hall. We had one that was a Christmas networking event. So Noreen, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been on webinars or meetings where it's we can jump from break room to break room, especially if you're one of the presenters. So is that a similar concept, what you're talking about, jumping from vendor table to vendor table?
So keep in mind, so at the Fort Lauderdale Chamber, I didn't want to put it out there, these tables have no names, right? I just wanted to show you something that was set up. We have some of our networking meetings where you're actually just going to table. You could, when this is populated, like the guys that are in yellow here, you could hover over and you could actually see who's sitting at that table. So you could say, wow, there goes the Miami Beach mayor. I want to be at that table. And I can go over there. But then you could move from table to table and you only network with those people. So everyone in this room or on this floor has the opportunity to network with each other. And then depending on the floor plan that's designed, there could be tables for 2, tables for 6, tables for 8. So it's kind of cool, the ability to go out and reach out and touch someone virtually. And everyone has the opportunity to do that. So
Right.
it really is kind of cool. And in this setup, it really is set up for vendor trade show. I just wanted to kind of show you, but I was on one where, there was holiday time, the left and right hand sides of the table had, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, had little different themes that are out there. So it's kind of cool that it could be set up for different people for different types of events. Now, what happens is that while you're networking, you have the opportunity to network at that table. You could see like in Zoom, you could chat with people. So, what we do is we help monitor. And again, we don't sell Remo. We just thought this was a really cool technology. And what we do is when we help people out with the Remo platform, anybody that's a presenter has superpowers like you were talking about, and they can actually go from table to table. And when there's a limit of 6, the organizers can actually be the 7th person. Now, the beauty of this is that when your event comes on, we have a stage set up there. We have some video that goes on. But when the event goes on, there's a countdown. You get this little cute little message that says, your virtual limousine has come and now you're being transported to the presentation room. And what happens is the presentation room kind of looks like this, where in this case, we have a presenter, his slides. We could have up to 6 presenters on at one time, plus slide content. And then the chat goes on and you're able to go out there and people are still able to interactively ask questions. And I think, if you look at any pro tips, I think that if you're invited to an event and it's mostly recorded, in my opinion, I'm always saying, you know what, I'll show up, I'll be there, I'll get the recording and maybe I'll watch the slides after. If you have some interaction, we think that that's a key of an event. So Remo gives you the ability. And then what happens is that when the presentation is over or there's a break time, you get moved back to this platform at the table you were at. So now you have time for networking and you have time to go out there and see presentations. Again, just an interactive kind of platform. We're helping with, Glenn mentioned Tech Lauderdale. We're working with another company called Gamer Jibe, where everybody is an avatar, like a full walking avatar that goes room to room. Again, we found some platforms that work, some platforms that don't work. We thought that Remo was a great substitution for the people like me that don't really want to go out yet to an in-person event. So just an opportunity to go out and use a different platform. So we've had a lot of good successful pieces. This group is called ASCII. They run 12 events a year, and at the peak, they had 400 people at the event. So again, interesting platform to look at technology. So what I'll do is I'll talk about some different kind of event ideas. Now, I will tell you that every one of these event ideas I've been part of in some way, shape, or form. So we kind of go out there and talk about it. So listen, it's really good to go out there and engage your audience. You want to have some interactiveness going. So I figured that, polls are something that always come up, but we use this technology called Kahoot. So it's K as it's spelt out there. And basically we've used this in-person events. So what you do is you create an account, you build your questionnaire, your trivia game, whatever it is. And basically you tell everybody to grab their mobile device, their laptop, they go to kahoot.com, they put in a code that we've generated, and now everybody gets it to interactively answer questions. And we run this like a contest. The quicker you answer the question and you get the right answer, the more points. So it gets to be a nice little interactive, fun event. Just to jazz it up, it's just not the 7-person poll. We involve a lot of polls in our teams events, a lot of products that go out there. Trivia is another cool thing to do while you're running, little events. It could be your company meeting. I was on an exclusive Google event with 30 people. And before each of the breaks, to make sure that everybody was there, they ran just a little trivia set of questions. And man, you would have laughed to see how many people, how fast, competitive with 5 questions for a $5 Starbucks card they get. But it was like the title. So a lot of things that are in trivia. Ideas for events, a game night. And we're seeing that a lot of different organizations try to run different events. And listen, I'm an empty nester. My wife lives with me, and I haven't seen her. I've seen her more in the past 10 months than I've done over the past 36 years, because I usually would have traveled 2 weeks a month. And in reality, the more that you can involve family and people into these events, one of the biggest fundraising events that we saw for one of our organizations was a bingo night. Sounds kind of crazy. It was for an organization that I worked with out of New York City. They tied up with a local charity. They had inexpensive bingo cards that people could buy, and 50% of everything went to, in this case, it was, early, I think it was mid-COVID, that it was backpacks and books for kids. They had their highest fundraising event that they had in 5 years, because people were buying $5, $10 cards, and it was fun bingo where they had kids, family, friends, non-members of the organization. We've seen a couple of trivia nights. I gauge what family and friends go out there. CrowdPer is an inexpensive platform that gives you the ability to go out there and just run a trivia night. You could run this inside of Zoom or any of your free platforms. And I always say, tie up with a local fundraiser. It could be yourself at that end of it. Get those people to buy in to some of these things or donate. And it really is fun. And CrowdPer runs this. It was really kind of interesting. And, not that I condone gambling, because in one of our events, when I brought this up, people were like, you're telling us to go out and play poker? We've been a member of a group, and it's been 5 months in a row. Actually 4 months in a row, one of our vendors runs a monthly poker event, and they've raised over $24,000 for Feed America. A donation to come in. You don't have to understand or have to run anything. PokerStars gives you the ability to go out there, sign up for a free account. No money is exchanged, and you could set up a private event. So when I go in, as I load up the PokerStars event, it's actually next Thursday. I go out for one of our vendors. I put a code in and I go to a private room, and they run it like Texas Hold'em. I will say that on the first event, there were 140 people that were on this poker event. I will say that I was out within less than an hour, but mysteriously, I didn't know that one of my sons were on there, and him and I were sitting at the same Texas Hold'em table. In the second month, I didn't really play. I didn't realize that both my sons made it to the final table. And all this happens is that you're keeping a Zoom meeting in the background, and people are playing poker. And those people that know each other would connect up to the Zoom meeting in one window and zing each other. And they had a requirement to make sure that everybody that made it to the final Texas Hold'em table, they would have to be on Zoom. And all they did is give away gift cards. So, great, inexpensive, and I'll say almost next to nothing ideas, and people got together. I always try to involve my wife. My wife never played poker in her life. On the first night that we were there, she was mesmerized that my son was at the table. And each time now, she doesn't want to play herself. She comes in and plays my hands because she thought it was kind of cool. And we did it, and you're in and out as quick as you want, but it's a great fundraising event. Cooking event, I will tell you that never thought that I would actually go out there and spend time making pumpkin ravioli with a chef that was on there. We did it, we had an event, and it was a Google event. And again, these are a little more planning and expensive, but what happened was is Google shipped us a box of dry goods. They went out there as part of their event. They hired a chef that was a chopped winner. They had a sous chef online. They sent us a bottle of wine. And the requirement was that if you accepted this, that you would be, you would have the capability from your kitchen to show your camera. And what they did is they had a wine connoisseur explain to us how to open the wine, go through this. They told us what wet ingredients we needed that they didn't want to ship, and made it fun. And we actually made, pumpkin ravioli in this crazy sauce, and while the raviolis were cooking, they had a jazz band on to entertain us. So it was kind of interesting. Partner with a local restaurant or chef. We've been on the Bobby Flay event I was on. Bobby Flay just gave the ingredients. They put this in place there, and you could have made your own pieces. So again, you don't have to spend the money. Maybe VIPs just get this, but you can partner up with a local restaurant or chef to see how you can sponsor and do this cooking event. They've been extremely popular. And as a person, I love cooking. I say my wife doesn't, but we were on this call for 2 hours, and she was like leading the charge of couldn't believe when you tasted your own food of something that you typically buy. So fun, different kind of events that you could actually involve people in. Happy hour events, partner with a local brewery or distillery. I was on more than a handful of beer tasting events or Oktoberfest events. One of our big vendors is out of Buffalo. They shipped us a cooler bag, 8 different types of beer. And you could really feel that the brewery and the brewmaster that was on just loved doing these events. It was tasting. One of them was as high end where they shipped us cheeses and meats and Buffalo favorites that were out there. But we've seen a lot of people just do a happy hour where maybe they don't go out there and have to ship something. I'll show you the high end event, but with this distillery that we're working with, it's a bourbon distillery out of Austin. It's kind of cool. It's a cool little bottle for those of you that might be, make or mark kind of drinkers. This is a seal type piece. The star on the bottle is definitely metal. It's a nice little bottle. And what we're doing is we're working with a vendor, and they're doing a virtual. These are Facebook Oculus classes that are out there. So what they're doing is, as part of the event, they're doing their presentations. Their VIPs got shipped one of these virtual goggles and this bottle of bourbon. And instead of, getting everyone online, they get a break. They go out there, they tell them how to put these goggles on, and I get a full 3D experience to learn how the brewery, how everything is made, a tour of the bourbon factory. They give them 10 minutes to go look at this, come back on, and they do a little bourbon tasting. Then when they put the virtual goggles back on, there could be a map of you looking at products. It could be a tour of something else. So, kind of cool. Or it could be simple as I've been on an events where, the bartender at the, Seminole Hard Rock, semi-employed, will just teach you how to make their favorite drinks. You don't have to ship anything. So we've seen a combination of happy hour events that might be something small trivia, might be just having a local celebrity on there. And then of course, themed events. So I think there's a lot of different ways that you can go out there and jazz up your events on a budget, or just make it a little more interaction. And I think that those are the key things that I put together on this. I think that it's a good idea to make sure that you engage. I will say that, actually I got one more slide, sorry, I went too far. Just really tips that you go out there, and these sound kind of basic. Some people say to us, how the heck does Mike, David, and Glenn, who are IT people, get involved in virtual fundraising? How do we help people go out there? It's because we're consumers, and it's not that hard to go out there and put a Zoom meeting together. But when you involve different people of video feeds, you have our early event, I won't say who, but we did an event for one of these organizations, and there were 6 hospitals that were members of it. Well, they didn't want to participate in planning. They just wanted their video feeds to come in, and it turned out to be a flop. We did something with a local synagogue for their high holiday services. Didn't want to test it. Lo and behold, they never applied their right Zoom license in, and only 100 congregants can get in until we randomly got out there. So I think that the important thing for any event is plan, plan, plan. Test it. You know, even today, you know, we got on 15 minutes earlier. I wanted to test how my screen shared. I wanted to see how I looked on the camera. I wanted to make sure that none of my garbage is showing in the back. You know, make sure that you're planning. You have a good background, that you're looking for this. And it's important to develop a detailed run book. And we'll send you a copy of the slide deck in PDF, but we have a really cool plan book. And again, it's a Microsoft plan book, but it's 11 pages for what Microsoft did for their 45,000 person global event. And there's great little pages and tips that are in there. Things like, where are all the links? What's going to happen at 12:45 and 40 seconds? If you're not planning this and developing a run book, it's very hard to go out there, especially in a fundraiser, an event that people are paying for. What happens when the speaker finishes? Is there music coming on? Who's the next speaker? Where's the link? So it's important that the plan has everything written down. Prep the speakers. You know, we have an event planner that we're working with that goes out there and could even ship out, you know, lights, pictures, cameras, action. You know, again, it depends what your budget is. And it's important that when you're planning these events to develop a budget, because our first question is, do you have a budget? Now, what we're getting up to in these next few months is a lot of people are talking to us about trying to plan a hybrid event, online and in person. Keep in mind that those type of events are 2 to 3 times more than if you just did an in-person event. And it involves a lot more planning. What do you do and how do you engage the people that show up? And then how do you engage them with the people that stayed virtual? Do I need cameras? Do I need different languages? What am I going to do when the in-person people are eating with the virtual people? So that's why I say it's important to plan this, prep your speakers. And if it's a big event, it's not just do a full run through and test. It's multiple run throughs and tests, because it's that one person that doesn't want to test that's going to have the problems. And, you know, I'll speak for Glenn because he says it to me all the time and we debate this all the time. Chunks of the event should be pre-recorded as at least a disaster plan, because in reality, we can't count on internet. We can't count on dead mics. What are you going to do with things that are forces of nature? So if you could go out there and pre-record portions of it, it gives you breathing room to go out there. And it also gives you a chance to plan better just in case, because we've all had internet outages. You know, on a day like today, listen, I have a gigabit internet connection at home. I'm crawling today because everyone's streaming stuff because the inauguration and the news is going on. So I have backup internet for this. So I think it's important to make sure that you think about the things. And what we help to do is really just bring you back down to reality. You know, have somebody go out there, plan it, answer the questions. We've been to so many events that are there. And in the case of, you know, Women's from Miami, we liked one platform. They didn't like it. They wanted another platform. And I use this as an example. And then when we got back down to basics, who's your audience? How are they going to click? You know, our biggest problem that we found with Remo is that people don't read the screen like anything else. Remo starts up and it says, hey, before the event, when you click on it, test your mic and camera. We get people that come on to the event and they didn't test their mic and camera. You know, I know that after this meeting, I have a Teams meeting, and I know that on my computer, which is high-end, loaded with everything, that I really do want to fully reboot after I finish Zoom and go into Teams. You know, I closed my Outlook. I don't have my pop-ups from my phone. So these are kind of the things that we have to go out there. And then when you're talking to your speakers or your presenters, we've run into this multiple times. Someone doesn't tell us that they were planning that day to do their presentation from their iPhone. Well, some platforms don't work well on the iPhone. They can't see this, you know, so we're trying to just get an idea in the planning of who's presenting from where, how do they look, what does their background look like, do you have enough light, you know, is that the day the gardener's going to be there? And I've recently, this is my 3rd upgrade of equipment, and I know Glenn said it to me, you know, I didn't have a set of headphones before. I had this really cool speaker disc. Well, lo and behold, the gardener's outside my window. I'm trying to present, the dog's barking. So recently I've upgraded to have, a noise canceling headphone that's comfortable, because last week I had 13 in one day virtual calls. The 14th I had to cancel on. Is it comfortable on your ears? Does the sound good? How do I know that I'm muted? Because I think we've all been on the meeting where someone said something. I've been on bathroom meetings where somebody walked in, didn't realize that they were muted. I should record all the funny things. I know that when I flip this microphone up, the headset says to me muted, no matter what my platform is. I know that if I walk this up, I actually could reach part of my house and still hear the event. Again, you want to make sure, so I think it's important, and it sounds kind of funny, and I see you smiling there, but we've all been on it. My favorite piece, and it was early in the pandemic, on a meeting, we all do joke about this, but one of the ladies in this event wanted to be seen, not just be heard. So she was trying to figure out how to turn on her camera. I always tell this thing because I think it's hysterical. She reaches behind to flip the cable, and her camera goes on. So she wasn't dressed too covered in the front. So I'll leave it at that. Well, lo and behold, she didn't realize that she turned the camera on. We're all looking down on her. I'll leave it at that. And then she realizes, then she goes to stand up, and she even had less on the bottom than she had on the top. And then she finally just unplugged everything. So, we've had meetings like that. It's the crazy kind of thing. I do things like this headset after a while. I'm a guy. I wake up, I could just pull my hair back, but it does crush my head sometimes. So, go back, and I want to make sure I look good for the next event. It sounds kind of funny.
I think that we're running out of time. So I think, first of all, thank you. I think it's awesome, but I think we should let some people, if there are any questions, ask some questions. Anyone?
Perfect.
I have a question. This is Adrian Pardo. What is the, with regards to smaller events, what is the price range when you put on, let's say, these fundraisers? I know it could be a wide range, but what's the beginning amount that your company charges, and how does that work?
I will tell you that if you are a not-for-profit, you'll come to us, and if it's a few hours event, we actually do those first few events at no charge. For our larger events, it could be $500, it could be $1,000. It all depends on what you're looking for. Now, part of that, if you want to consult with us, listen, you're a chamber member. We want you to just reach out and touch. If you have questions to go through, like anything else, the consult we kind of give you, because there's basics that you have to do, but we want to know roughly what your goal is, what platform you're thinking of. Do you own the platform? Because listen, we all know that on the free Zoom, you only get so much. You got to make sure that you have that. Something like Remo is a little more expensive depending on what the number of people. So we're just trying to, at the least, we force you to write down an agenda and get your basics that are out there. So again, we'll help you plan for nothing. I mean, listen, we've been out there trying to help the community. And if you need some help, we also bundle in that what we do is that we'll be on tech support to help you, because there's nothing worse than you're on the Zoom call. There's a lot of people, and there's those 5 chatty people that just can't get their camera going. You need a backdoor for, people to at least calm them down. And the misconception that you see is that we really can't help you once you're on the platform other than rebooting. Because in reality, you need an outlet so that person doesn't ruin the event for others.
And I can attest that they are out here, Michael and his team are out here helping nonprofits at a very reasonable rate. So I've seen a lot of people charging a certain amount, and they're very, very, very reasonable compared to.
And if you have and I will tell you that Zoom, and you can go up and look at it, Zoom has a lot of great content if you Google Zoom experience to show it, but they charge $500 an hour for event planning. I mean, an hour. So, that's why we said we got to go out and kind of help. And, if it's a simple Zoom piece, we'll do it. Glenn did a birthday party, a wedding, it was a dignitary birthday party. We charge next to nothing because it is times on some of the things. And it wasn't it was a business party, birthday party. I don't want to say that, you got a grandchild and you want us to run the birthday party. That's not what we're looking to do. But there are a lot of people that are out there, and it depends how complex. For Women's Fund Miami, they needed 50 breakout rooms. We're trying to plan out, and they needed some help in gathering some of those things. I pick on those. So in reality, we want to help you. Reach out if you got questions. And Omer, I'll give you the presentation. Look at the Microsoft Runbook. It's 11 pages, but it gives you great ideas that you can cut and paste out of what you should be putting together as your virtual agenda.
And by the way, we're going to put
Thank you.
together an email with all the information about LAN Infotech and Michael and all the people in the company, as well as some links, or at least the names of the platforms that Michael introduced here today, so you can actually take an advantage and explore them by yourself. But we certainly encourage you, to reach out to Michael and his team. They're really helpful and they really want to help the community.
And I think that one of the great things is I was looking up all of the different technologies online when we were talking about like Kahoot or Remo or what was the one that you said that Crowdper. I looked up Crowdper. He named a lot of different technologies. So I would take, and what was the avatar one? Because I didn't see that listed in the.
So Gamer Jibe, Jibe, and that's just another platform. We found that to be, depending on your market, again, depending on what your market base is, older crowd might not get it, younger crowd, it's cool. But those platforms all take a little more horsepower, if you know what I'm saying, a little harder to get there, but I'll include that in there. And Glenn, I got to add it onto my list of things.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any other questions? You're really thorough, Michael. I appreciate it.
And you could see that I love it because I'm on these out there. I mean, it's one of those things. And I do urge you, if you have any questions, you'll have my contact info. Email us. We want people to have successful events because this is our new world.
And I don't think it's going to go anywhere soon.
Yeah.
So
you took the words right out of my mouth, Omar. I was just going to say, this is not, even as the vaccine comes out, this is going to be in place. You get to reach a lot of people. So,
I think we'll be hybrid for a while. So at least, once everybody starts to get back out, I still think we'll be doing a lot of virtual meetings as well. Right. And this has been important for me because if I want to reach clients and be able to address their needs in so many ways, you can do those platforms that you've brought to light today. And also too, as I said, the breakout rooms, if you want to have different sessions, if you present a total topic and then break out into different groups, things like that are very helpful, especially for those people who have been used to doing and conducting business and bringing value to their clients by being on site. So this is a good way to learn and feel comfortable with the transition.
And we've seen some large companies, I travel to a lot of large events all year, the Microsofts of the world. Most of our clients, and the problem is a lot of the big companies have restricted travel. So what's happening is they're planning out, I think my first potential live event that's on the calendar is September. And people then again, part of it, remember, that deposits in that venue. So people are very skeptical, and you're right. I think there's going to be a lot of kind of ad hoc hybrid type of events. And I'll leave you with this last piece. Yesterday at our Pompano chamber meeting, when the Pompano boat show was on, they decided to play around with Facebook Live and YouTube. They had 40,000 hits. They're lucky if they get 1,000 hits, just to show you the need for when you touch something. They were just like mesmerized that they had so many people that were watching their live stream all over the country. So you just never know.
Yeah.
okay. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I think we can get back to our day. Appreciate everybody coming, and it was a really great event. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, LAN Infotech team, David and Glenn. There was so much information. It was very helpful. I think one of the keys is plan, and figuring out, I liked what you said in the beginning, figuring out what type of event. People are not thinking, there's so many different types of events. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And tomorrow is the Law Council and Tech Council event at 12 p.m. Going
Yes,
over
maybe you want to give a little, just a bit of information about that. So Jensen would actually, who's a chamber members, and he's a lawyer who's well connected tech world. He will give a presentation about how to use Teams platform in general, and then in relations to law firms or law industry. So it's going to be very interesting, and it will have a lot of tips and tricks on how to utilize that into your own businesses. So take advantage of that as well. That's it, I think, right? Well, if nobody has anything else to say, thank you very much. Thank you, Michael.
That's great.
Thank you
Thank you
much.
very much.
Thank
It
you.
was very
Thank you,
informative.
everybody.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks
Bye.
everyone
Bye.
attending. Bye.
Thank you.